Hi everyone. It's been a while, and right now I'm in one of my favorite parks that's near my home. And at the moment I'm looking at a really beautiful sky right now, and it's midday. And I just want to say before we go any further, Happy New Year to everyone. It's 2020, and for me, 2019, especially the second half, was it became really intense, and it really had me to focus on the, I guess, the professional aspects of my life, and just to organize my life better in order to, I guess, function and do all of my earthly duties in the way that I need to do them and do them well. So I understand what the universe was trying to get me to do, and I'm trying my best to work with it. But right now, I'm just relaxing. I'm getting some sunlight through my body via my eyes. And I don't get to do this much often nowadays. It's pretty rare where I get to, well, I do it every morning, but it's really the only opportunity that I get. And of course, even that's temporary. I'll change my life later so that it syncs me with the destiny that I want. But right now, you know, I have to take a break and take a rest and take care of my earthly duties, I guess. So, what is this video gonna be about? If you look at the title, it's about sex and death. Two very taboo topics. Taboo for many reasons, I guess. I mean, sex is a really extremely private thing, and death is a seemingly really depressing thing. But I'm going to talk about some of the similarities, especially the similarities. And yeah, I'm going to focus on the similarities, how sex and death are the same. On the surface, they seem like two very different things. Sex seems like the peak of living, and death seems like, well, the opposite of that. But I see it a little bit differently, and I promise you that I'm not going to depress you in what I'm going to talk about here. My whole goal here is to make you appreciate both equally, and just to generate some thought on like this topic and what it means, and just add some greater depth and significance to it. And here's how I plan to lay this video out. First, I want to talk about the stages of life, like how life begins, like through sex and what sex means and how sex is tied to death. And when I say death, I'm talking about the spiritual world prior to life. That's what I'm referring to as death here. And in the second half, or the next part of the video, I'm going to talk about death and how death is similar to sex. And I'm really going to break it down and lay it out. And of course, if you have some insight or some different points of views on what I talk about, please share it. It's always welcome. And I'll end the video by talking about what motivated me to do this video in the first place. What's my inspiration? What triggered me to think about this in the way that I've been thinking about it? So, how about we get started? So let's go. Let's talk about this. Okay, so right now I'm facing the sun, and a lot of you already know why. I don't get many opportunities to do this, so I gotta kind of do it now while I talk to you to be efficient with my time. But yeah, let's get started here. The act of sex. The act of sex. What's happening? Well, more than just getting satisfaction, it's a very highly spiritual thing. Two physical bodies are coming together, but far more importantly than that, two spirits are coming together, and that connection opens up a door from this world to another. And through that door comes, or can come, another spirit. And we know it opens this door, and we know that world is a beautiful place. And the act of sex connects us to that world. And what can come from that world to this world? Of course, another life. And if another life comes through that door, through that portal, it's housed in the female body, the feminine body. That feminine energy takes care of it, because there's nothing like feminine energy. Feminine energy is some really beautiful energy. And for that reason, I love being around women. I mean, I love being around anyone, but particularly I love being around women. That feminine energy is nourishing. It builds you. It makes you feel good. So I have a strong appreciation for the feminine energy. But the feminine body is designated to take care of the new life, because that feminine energy, it nourishes and encourages and builds. And I think that's the reason why it's chosen to do that job. But the feminine body is also, or the feminine body meaning women, are also extremely receptive to a lot of things, to their environment, their mind, their spirituality, their female intuition. We know about that. It's a very real thing. And women are like a sponge to a lot of things. They pick up things really well, and so much stronger, better ways than men can. Like women are more in tune with their feelings, in general, of course, in general. And I think feelings are more important than intellect. People think intellect is, king, but emotions and feelings are really important. You know, one of the most important things in making a relationship with someone is capturing their heart. Not so much so capturing their mind. You capture their heart, then you're on the right track. Everything goes well from there. And the feminine side is more focused on that. And that's what's probably more important. I mean, they're all important, but that's probably it's very important as well, maybe if not more. And also, a child, male or female, has a very strong connection with everything, just like women do. They have that strong intuition. They're like a sponge. They absorb everything, and a lot of their lives, their energy is feelings based as well. But as they as after a woman gives birth to a child and the child comes into this world and it's absorbing everything rapidly, feeling everything, learning everything. It's a whole new world to them, and that new body is just absorbing, just trying to figure out what to do and how to focus and go towards destiny. And for the first 10 years, uh, the child experiences and absorbs huge amounts of just life and just learning and everything. And it is said that they become the person that they're going to be for the rest of their lives in that first like decade. And they it seems the stopping point is when they reach sexual maturity. Once they reach sexual maturity, this incredible growth, this incredible ability diminishes quite dramatically. And speaking of sexual maturity, uh, after a child reaches sexual maturity, one of their focuses in lives becomes, it's not their only focus, of course, but one of the focuses becomes sex. Life becomes highly focused on sex. And I think that focus is due to sex being a super spiritual thing brought, brought about by the connection of the masculine and the feminine. And we all want to go back to that spiritual place. We know how beautiful it is, and we definitely know how it feels physically. But, it's deeper than that. And, we constantly fantasize about sex. They say that you we think about sex like every couple of minutes. I don't mean just like you have an all-out movie in your mind about sex every couple of minutes, but you just have like flashes and traces of just thinking about sex every couple of minutes. It's an ongoing thing, a constant fantasizing about it, because we want to go back to that spiritual place. We want to go back to the infinite world prior to when we were incarnated, when we were put about inside of our mother's womb and brought to life. Because prior to us incarnating, we were spirits. And what I'm talking about here is reincarnation. According to reincarnation, and astrology as well, according to reincarnation, we signed a contract for the type of life that we come to, the type of life that we live. We sign a contract for it. And all of the energy is already predetermined by all of the heavenly influences. And I'm talking about astrology here. And we already kind of knew, like, the body and the position, the place where we were coming into this world to. And that's a reason why sex has tremendous responsibility. That's one reason. It has tremendous responsibility because you're opening up the gate to let in a new spirit. And it's important that the two people have a strong connection with one another. And if you don't have a strong connection with one another, then the spirit that's going to come into this world, whether it incarnates through pregnancy or whether it manifests in other ways, will be maybe on a lower vibration, or it won't have it will be, I guess we could just say it would be on a lower vibration. Like, if we could bring into this world a higher vibrational spirit, that's preferable, right? That's what we all want and desire, right? So, sex is a really sacred thing for that matter. And, having sex with a loving connection is, really, really beautiful. And there's just nothing like it. And, I think it's the universe. It's guiding us to do what. It's guiding us to do the right thing and get the best energy brought to us. So that's sex in a nutshell. Sex through our lives, and the type of energy that it brings, and the type of doors that it opens. So now let's talk about death. Death and sex are quite similar, I think, because, as I just mentioned, when we come into this world through sex, and where did we come into this world from? We came into this world from death. And when I say death, I'm talking about the unknown, the other side of life. Like, I don't even really think that death is, like some, like infinite place. It's just the unknown. We don't know what exists on the other side, so we just call it death. And of course, for good reason, it depresses people because they don't know what's going on. It's the possibility of everything that they accomplished in this world just being done in vanity. It scares people, and this is what death represents to a lot of people. But I don't think so. I think death is a beautiful thing. I'm not saying I want to die or anything like that, because I love life and I love living. But when my time comes, I will be ready for it, and I will anticipate it just like I anticipate everything else in life, and it's with deep, deep appreciation. And with death, just like sex, we constantly fantasize about it. Constantly fantasize about it. And what do I mean by we constantly fantasize about it? Some people think about it and their response is fear, but I think deep down inside we know how beautiful of a place uh, death is. And when I say death again, I'm talking about the other side of life, the other side of life that when we walk through that door, that's what we're going to get to. And it's going to be more beautiful than everything that we've accomplished here. You know, even if everything that we accomplish here is erased and in vanity, the other side is even more beautiful and even has even greater depth of possibility. So with death, you know, we fantasize about it because that other world is it's a beautiful place, and we know it's a beautiful place. And when we engage in sex, we get a part. We get to be a part of that world for a moment, for a time. And of course, you know, it can get abused. You know, there's consequences to, you know, focusing on this on this too much. But I think that's what drives us toward wanting and fantasizing and thinking about it. And yeah, I mentioned that we fantasize about death. And what I mean by we fantasize about death, what I mean by us fantasizing about death is like if you're like a overly religious person, or a person who's very religious, not overly, but very religious, it's a very big part of your life. Your focus is really, one of your focuses is it's on death, because a lot of religious practice is the focus of preparing for another lifetime, the next lifetime, which is, you know, of course, the unknown, you know, what we don't know about, what we can't see because of our duties here and our limited senses here. But yes, religious people are focused on death, and even, you know, we think about death all the time. We, like, you know, when you worry about things, when you worry about the clock ticking and, you know, time moving too fast, that's you thinking about death, and thinking about, you know, you aging and things like this. You know, it's thoughts of death. And again, death is, you know, the unknown. It's the other side. It's the next life, or whatever is next, or whatever was before. And we fantasize about this. Okay, so that's life and death in a nutshell. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. I'd love to hear your points of views on it. I'd love for you to add to what I've already talked about. I want to grow from it. So, how about I wrap this up by talking about my inspiration for making this video. And, you know, it's nothing special really. It's I decided to make this video around Christmas. And around Christmas time, I was just really not in the Christmas spirit, really, so to speak. And I don't celebrate Christmas anyway, but I was not really in that spirit, but I'm surrounded by people that do. And it's beautiful to see them celebrate it and be happy about something. It's wonderful. But nowadays, especially, I'm looking at things deeper, everything in life deeper, and Christmas in a lot of ways. I don't know about where you are in your part of the world. Christmas is it has turned to a very superficial thing. Like the focus is, I guess, the religious part of it, and buying gifts, and being with your loved ones and things like this, which is all beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. It's really beautiful, really incredible, and it's well worth having. It's a very noble tradition, and I appreciate it. But I was looking at it a little bit deeper, and like what it actually is and what it actually may mean. And I know Christmas is right around the winter solstice. That's where those are like the three shortest days of the year, where the sun supposedly dies and comes back to life. And by coming back to life, meaning it begins to get brighter, 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 and brighter. Days get longer and longer. And of course, we get our own energy to express ourselves through the sun. So we know that energy is coming back. And also, we get the opportunity to connect back to nature much more than we probably desired to do when it was, winter, depending on where you are in the world, and how cold it may be. Like here, where I am right now, it's quite cold. Even though I'm pretty good here. I'm wearing my stuff, and I'll probably get undressed right after this video and get me some sunshine on my skin because of how clear and beautiful the day is, and how I haven't really gotten an opportunity to do that. I really need to expose my skin and get some of this, and I owe it to myself. But yeah, the winter solstice, it made me think about what Christmas, what it may actually represent, and what else was going on deeper behind that curtain. And winter solstice, and it made me think about the sun, the death and the rebirth of the sun, and it got me thinking about death, this whole death theme and everything. And it also got me thinking about what's happening right now in the world astrologically with we have like some really intense planets in the sign of Capricorn. There's Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, and it's been in there for a long time. I think since like the past decade. But we also have Saturn in the sign of Capricorn, and I think they're aligning perfectly either today or tomorrow. So that's some really intense energy. Saturn makes situations very real. And for me, I don't know if you know about the zodiac, but for me, Capricorn is in my 12th house. It's either the end of my 11th house or the beginning of my 12th house. But Capricorn and what this alignment is happening is in my 12th house, I think. And yeah, things are getting really real for me. And Saturn has been in Capricorn for I think a couple of years now, and it kind of parallels like my whole outlook on life and the way things have dramatically changed for me wanting to see the other deeper aspect side of life and side of myself. Like I dramatically made a change right around that time, approximately 2 years ago, probably around the start of this channel. And I think uh, that energy or that that alignment, Saturn being in Capricorn and being in my 12th house, has really given me like a has really given me a different insight and a view on death and about life. It's definitely made me really rethink and analyze my own mortality. Prior to that, I never really questioned or thought about my own mortality, but I started thinking about my own mortality, like that I'm actually gonna die someday, and I never thought about that before. It was just live life, live life, live life, and just have fun and just live life. But I think that put that type of energy on my radar, and it, I guess, kind of forced me to focus on it. And I see it as me being, not me thinking about it, but it's just being a part of my environment, and me feeling it and me having to react to it and respond to it, which, it's okay. It's a part of life. And, I welcome it. A lot of life is just a bunch of mysteries, and that's one mystery. And, it feels good to kind of see what it is so that I can kind of know how to navigate it and understand it, and live to the fullest based on what my limitations and strengths are. So I'll end this here, and my intent behind making this video is not to be grim or depressing or anything like that. I just want to show the beauty of everything above, even death. Death is, it's really a beautiful thing, and it's not something that we should be scared of. And sex is not something that we should be scared of either. It's beautiful too. But it's it's a it's an amazing feeling, one of the most amazing feelings that we can get in this physical life. And of course, we need to be responsible with it. And a very loving connection is a very good way to experience it. It's nothing like it, sex with love. But I'm not the judge. But people do it and use it for many different reasons, and it's all good. It's all good, and I'd love to hear your opinions on it and your perspective. So I'll end here, and I love you, and happy 2020. This year is going to be really different and unique, and I think some really unexpected things are going to happen. And I guess I'm thinking about that because of the astrological layout of how things are going to progress. And I look forward to seeing what happens, and I look forward to talking to you about what happens, as well as bringing up and talking about just other various topics that come across my radar. So I'll end it here, and I love you, and I wish the best for you. And please come back and share some time with me, share your world with me. And please like, share, subscribe, comment, browse my channel. And that's it. I'm gone. Bye.